Hi, my name is Shane. I use she and her pronouns, and this is, I think, our fifth session in our game of Songs for the Dusk. Although today we are not playing Songs for the Dusk, but I'm sorry, did you say Street Magic by Caro Asercion? We decided, or I suggested, everyone was happy with this idea, that because the characters in Songs for the Dusk live in a community called Lachlann that is sort of central to the game, that it would be good to understand that community better and flesh it out, cooperatively and collaboratively rather than me making some decisions or choices. And I'm sorry, did you say Street Magic is a world building game about creating cities? So we're going to use it to learn a bit more about what Lachlan is like. The series was organized as part of the Gauntlet gaming calendar. So if you're not familiar, although it seems unlikely that you're jumping into our fifth session if you don't know what the Gauntlet is, um, it's an online community that plays and discusses a whole lot of indie and story games. You can find out more at gauntlet-rpg.com. I just want to flag as well, I mentioned this to some of you before we started. My housemate has COVID at the moment, is doing fine, everything is relatively okay, but also they're isolating, so I'm on call to like get them stuff if they need it. I don't expect that to be disruptive, like anything they need should be fine to do during our regular breaks anyway. But just to flag, I might need to pop away. Um, I don't think that we'll need this, but if I do need to leave and I'm not back or able to message you within 10 minutes, you should assume that something's come up and I've needed to leave. But again, I don't expect any of that to happen. Let's do some introductions. So we'll go around just your names and pronouns and anything that you'd like to share about yourselves. And I think even though you won't be playing your Songs for the Dust characters today, maybe it would be like a good sort of orientation or good reminder of the world that we're in if you do just describe your characters a little bit for us. Um, and the extra thing that I'd like in your introduction is just to tell us like something about Lachlan that you're curious about or interested in exploring in today's game, um, something big or small. And just to answer my own question before I get you to do it, one thing that I'm interested in exploring is the kinds of conflicts and tensions that exist in Lachlan. Interested in those, obviously, because as the GM, I want to be able to push on those, but also because I am just curious. It seems like a lot of what we've established about Lachlan is fairly idyllic, poltergeist weed notwithstanding. So I'm curious to find out about what sort of tensions do exist there. So I'll just go in the order that I can see you on my screen. So Dana, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi everyone, I'm Dana, pronounced she, her, and I'm playing Sibadi, also pronounced she, her. She's the witch, and she's like this sort of electric powers kind of elemental mage or something like that. She has like a very, she's very attuned to the elemental forces, and I think I was thinking in street magic way, and I really interested in exploring more of that, like the climate and like I think we already see like a big storm and the influence it have, and I would really like to explore how this community adapt to weird climate patterns and things like that. I think it would be interesting.
Cool, thank you. Puckett.
Hey there, I'm Puckett. I use he, him pronouns. I typically play Kluge, the scrapper, who uses she, her pronouns, and she's kind of an odd duck. Doesn't necessarily feel entirely at home in the community. Always thinks that she's a little maybe too weird, and that the community will keep her around just as long as she's useful. So she tries to be useful, and never mind the holograms that kind of float around her that reveal what she's thinking. She's the scrapper, and she makes weird stuff. Um, I think what I'm interested in exploring, is the morals and the ethics of the community, as well as what kind of social bonds exist. For example, uh, family. Is it biological family, found family, a combination of the above? What are family ties like and then what are the lines that the community draws? What is in bounds, what's out of bounds?
Cool, thank you. And Agatha.
Hi, everyone. I'm Agatha. My pronouns are she, her, and I play Rona, who's the Kestrel, a very serious and community oriented, I guess, safety focused kind of gal. The thing that I would be interested in exploring, I want to add on to what Puckett said, and so it's about community as well. But I'm kind of just curious about like what the population is like, because I don't know if we have a very clear idea on that yet. Just like who lives here, what is the like, yeah, what's the population like, what's the demographic like. And then the other thing that I'm also kind of interested in exploring, if we have time, is the defensive aspect of our town, village, because I think like Rona is really obsessed with it, but I don't really have any like story hooks to like draw on to be like, why is this such a big deal, and is it only a big deal to her and her dad, or is it like actually like really necessary? So I think that would be nice for me to kind of bounce off of.
Cool. That all sounds like so much to work with. How very exciting. I think, have you all played Street Magic before?
Not I.
Okay. So how this is going to work, I sent you all a Miro link. So if you could open that up if you haven't already. Miro was recommended to me for this. Like the game is organized around index cards if you're playing in person. So this is intended to substitute for that. I've never used Miro before, so I had a little play with it. I think this is going to work okay, but especially if you are confident and familiar with Miro, if you can suggest better ways to deal with some of this stuff, that is extremely welcome. Normally, I'm sorry, did you say Street Magic starts with some sort of introductory establishing questions that help us set out what sort of city we're going to be creating? Obviously, we already know a bit about Lachlann, so I think we can kind of skip over some of that very broad stuff because we already have some focus. But I guess just to encourage you as well, throughout the game today, to think about the things that we already do know about Lachlann. So, I mean, Agatha, you already sort of referenced that with the defense stuff. Dana with the climate stuff. Reincorporating stuff that we've already established and fleshing that out, I think, is really cool. But also, we're not sort of bound to the things that we already know. We're welcome to invent new stuff. If you want to check some of those details, they're mostly in either the Seagulls or the Factions tab in the Keeper. Speaking of the Keeper, we're also using the same safety tools that we normally use. So the lines and veils are still there in the Keeper if you want to check those. Maybe worth taking a few moments to think about if there's any other lines or veils that you'd like to add in the context of this game, just because I think different games sort of suggest different topics that might come up that might become lines and veils that you wouldn't have worried about otherwise. If there is anything that you didn't think we would deal with in Songs for the Dusk that might come up today, please feel free to add it to the lines and veils. Also, just in resources for today, I put a cheat sheet in the Google Drive. So if you want to remind yourself how different parts of the, I'm sorry, did you say Street Magic work? That information is in there for you. Shall I post a link to that, or do people have it handy?
I'd love it if you could, post the link again.
Sure.
Same. I was dealing with a cat.
No problem.
Thank you.
Just one sec. All right, so that's the Google Drive, and you'll see something. What is it called? I'm sorry, did you say cheat sheet? just if you need to refer to that. But basically, the way this game works is that it's played in rounds. We each take a turn within the round to establish something in particular ways. We start with a sort of introductory round called Laying the Foundation, which is just a bit simpler than the full round structure to sort of ease us in. As the facilitator, I'm going to start our Laying the Foundation round, and I do that by creating a neighborhood. And I guess maybe mention here that, because this game is meant to be about cities and Lachlann is not exactly a city, some of these terms may translate, not quite right. I think Lachlann probably doesn't have neighborhoods per se, but just going to use that to describe, parts of Lachlann that have a particular vibe or areas, districts, whatever they might be. So when we create a neighborhood in this game, it has three things. It has a title, which is what the people in Lachlann would call it. It has a reputation, which is, sort of briefly what people in Lachlann think of it, what it is, what the people who live or work there think of it, that sort of stuff. And a true name, which maybe I'll come back to with an example because it's a bit more complicated. So I think I'm going to start. So in Miro, if people don't know, in that bar of icons on the left-hand side, the fourth one down is a sticky note. You can create a sticky note in different colors, and then you click on it, and you just sort of paste it down by picking a location. So you should all be able to see I've made a blue sticky note, and then I'm going to be able to type into it. I'm going to start by creating the terrace farms, which is something that we already know exists in Lachlann. So that's its title. Sorry, I am also supposed to mark this as a neighborhood by putting an N in the top corner. Reputation. So because we're working with sticky notes also, like, you don't have to write down everything that you're inventing or thinking about for your location onto the sticky note itself, just some, like memory aids or things to remind us what we talked about. But it's actually our talking together that is like what's doing the creating here. So what I think about the terrace farms is, first of all, they are very beautiful. I'm imagining that they're extremely colorful. They're full of, strange vines and edible flowers and beans and things like that in all different colors. So visual beauty is definitely one of the main things that I think of. I think that the farmers, the people who run and work the farms, are probably known for being pretty friendly, but also some people in Lachlann maybe perceive them as somewhat arrogant, or as thinking their role in the community is the most important. And I think that a lot of the terrace farmers, if you push them, would agree that they have the most important role in the community, but they think that's just a fact because food is what's most important. You can't do anything without food. They don't think that necessarily makes them arrogant. So add in very beautiful, maybe arrogant as the reputation to remind us what we've talked about here. And then the true name. Sorry, I feel like I've been talking a heap, but I will stop doing that fairly soon and give someone else a chance. I just wanted to read what the text says about true names because it's kind of a key concept. Sorry, I'm just looking for the spot in the text. So true names are going to come up for everything in the game, for neighborhoods and landmarks and residents, which are all things that we'll talk about as we go on. Every neighborhood has a magic all its own. To confer a true name, come up with 2 or 3 descriptive sensory images that paint a clear picture of the neighborhood in your mind. Write these at the bottom of the card. True names can be tactile details of the space, but they can just as easily be metaphorical or symbolic abstractions intended to elicit an idea or personality more than a literal representation. Think poetically and play to the senses when coming up with true names. Dizzying mirror glass windows, cobblestone boulevards, don't know how to pronounce this word, funicular railway, sidewalk patios, burnt coffee, painted fingers, a forever sunset, hushed secrets, an abandoned dream. Any of these could be facets of a true name. A neighborhood's reputation might be what people think of it, but a neighborhood's true name is what makes it unforgettable. So I think that the true name for the terrace farms, I want to say sunrise over purple vines and pollen smells. Right, I think I'm happy with that as a true name. I'm going to enlarge this a little bit because I can't really read it at the size it is. So that's our first neighborhood. The oh, thank you, Agatha, who's posted all of that text I just read out in the chat. Very helpful. So for the rest of laying the foundations, we'll go around. I'm just going to use the order that people are on my screen as the order of play for today. You can either create a new neighborhood in the same way, or you can create a landmark associated with one of the neighborhoods that someone else has created. So a landmark is just an important location or site within a neighborhood. If you're making a neighborhood, just try and lay them out so there's a good amount of space between the neighborhoods, because we're going to attach landmarks and residents around them. We'll want space for that. Don't worry about it too much because we can just move them around if we need to. So Dana, going to come to you first. Do you want to create a neighborhood or a landmark?
I was thinking of starting with the crystalline megaliths and maybe as a neighborhood.
Awesome.
So no, here maybe. So I think the reputation would be like maybe this scary, all like mysterious things, and like contrasted a little bit with the like actually they are people living here inside of these megaliths. Like they seem like very like very like dangerous to outsiders, but they are actually like full of life.
Yeah, that's cool.
So I think something like that. For the true name, maybe something like translucent nails that scrape the sky.
Cool. Awesome. All right. So Pocket, as we lay our foundations, do you want to create another neighborhood, or do you want to attach a landmark to one of the neighborhoods we already have?
I'm not sure if this is a neighborhood or a landmark, and I think a case can be made for either. I think it's probably closer to a neighborhood, but the distillery.
What would make that a neighborhood rather than a landmark? Or what are you thinking about when you make that decision?
I have a sneaking suspicion that, I mean, first of all, the distillery itself is in a building. It's not just out. And it's attached to the pub. And, you know, I'm figuring that the landlord, as it were, lives upstairs. And there's probably also some residences nearby where people choose to live nearby, either because they work there or they spend a fair bit of time there. So, again, I'm not sure if it is, like I said, I think a case can be made for either.
Yeah.
But I'm also open to the idea that it may just be a landmark as opposed to a neighborhood, or a neighborhood as opposed to a landmark.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it could, like, it does seem like it could be both. I guess it's a question to me of whether the focus is on the actual distillery itself, which to me is a landmark, or that broader community that grows up around it, which seems more like a neighborhood.
Donna, Agatha, do you have any thoughts?
Sorry, you got quiet for me, so I couldn't catch a bit of what you said.
Oh, I was asking if you had any thoughts about whether the distillery should be a neighborhood or a landmark.
It kind of sounds like a landmark to me, especially like there's a landlord and then there are some tenants. It kind of sounds like a landmark, but I guess also it probably could be either.
Donna, what do you think?
I think if you wanted to make it like a neighborhood, I think it is a landmark in itself, but maybe you could like expand upon it and say like, well, this is the neighborhood where the distillery is in, and like start from the big pictures and then like add the landmark inside that.
I mean, I guess the other factor that you want to consider is that if it's a landmark, it has to be attached to a neighborhood that's already on the board. So if you don't see it as part of the terrace farms or connected to the crystalline megaliths, then it probably needs to be its own neighborhood to introduce at this point.
When you put it that way, I think it probably does need to be a neighborhood, because I have a sneaking suspicion this is probably where the troublemakers, such as they are, live.
Interesting. All right.
So, copy that. All righty. Let's see. True name. Let's see what we got here. Yeah, that all tracks. I just drew a couple of tarot cards, and it's coins, swords, and sticks. That feels pretty dead on. Money and yeah.
Funny that there were no cups for the distillery.
Right? Wands, swords, and coins. Go figure. No cups. So,
Cool. Thank you. So, Agatha, do you want to create a neighborhood, or are you going to build our first landmark?
I'm a little bit torn between two things. I want to create the derelict ship as its own neighborhood. However, I also want to create the watchtowers as a landmark within the crystalline megaliths. So now I'm like, "Wah."
I mean, obviously we're going to get more. You're going to get more turns. Like, don't worry that you're not going to get a chance to create all of the things that you're interested in.
Yes, but I like both. Anyway, okay, I think I'm gonna go with a derelict ship. Derelict ship. Huh. The derelict ship is okay. Neighborhood. Reputation. I think its reputation has to be that. Is it haunted with echoes of the past, or is it I'm trying to like tie in the radiant tech, but also being haunted. I'll just say haunted. Reputation is haunted. And then the true name is I want to tie in the holograms. Flora something. Everyone has like really poetic true names. Sunrise or purple vines, rich pollen smells, translucent nails that scrape the sky. Okay. Transactional, prone to fights, smell of fermenting fruits and grains. Yeah, so then I think, yeah, I'll say true name is echoes of the past.
Cool. I love the idea that the derelict ship is a neighborhood, like not just a one thing, but it makes me think that there's a community that's grown up around it in some way. And the fact that it's haunted by echoes of the past makes me really fascinated about like what makes people choose to live there. So that is our foundation. So we're going to move on to our first full round of play. Rounds of play start with someone declaring a compass. So again, I'm just going to paste some text about what a compass is into the chat. But basically the compass is something that's going to sort of thematically orient our play for a round. Something that'll keep us all kind of in the same general area as we go off in different directions. So I don't want to put someone on the spot for this, so I might just let people think for a minute. And when someone has an idea for something that they think could be a good compass to start us off, just let us know.
I can start. Then I guess I'll make the compass defenses
Awesome.
to go in with what I wanted to explore before.
Cool. Well, that means that you're going to lead us off in the first round. So you can, again, either create a new neighborhood, you can attach a landmark to a existing neighborhood, or this isn't open to you because we don't have any landmarks yet, but once there are landmarks, you can also create a resident who's connected to a landmark. So where are you going to start us?
All right. I will do the other thing that I wanted to do, which is create a landmark that is, what was it? Watchtowers. Yes. Okay. Watchtowers. Oops. Okay, so it's then, I guess.
Yeah. Do you want me to talk quickly through what's involved in creating a landmark?
Yeah, please.
All right. So a landmark, they're all quite similar. A landmark has a title, being whatever people call it in their day-to-day lives, so watchtowers, an address. And the game says this can be a literal address, but it could also be something more poetic about where in the neighborhood something is. Is it in the heart of the neighborhood, off the beaten path? Is it up or down? Something like that. And a true name.
Wait, does this mean instead of saying watchtowers, I need to say watchtower? Singular?
Oh, well, I guess that's up to you. What's the landmark? Is it one watchtower or is it a series of them?
Okay, I think I will stick with watchtowers then. I wasn't sure if I could make it plural, but if I can, then I will. Let's see. Okay. Landmark. Address. I think the address is like at the corners at the 5 corners of Lachlann.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's cool.
And then let's see, a true name. Excuse me. Each landmark has its own true name. Should be even more specific than the true name for your neighborhood. How does this landmark exist within the neighborhood? It is being placed inside. Does it match the style? Okay. Rep. Oh, no. True name. What can you touch, smell, or taste? I feel like the watchtowers might be falling apart a little. So I think the true name will be crumbling crystal. Ooh, alliteration. Crumbling crystal. Oh no. No, I can't do it. I'm just gonna say like crumbling crystal platforms. But if someone can come up with an alliterative name, please. Oh, please. Crumbling crystal platforms. Yeah. So I think these platforms live like they kind of just like jut out of the size of these crystalline pillars. And that's what these watchtowers, quote unquote, are. And they're called watchtowers because I feel like it was named by people who first came to Lachlann, and then they had an idea of what watchtowers are like, but these are not actually towers. They're just platforms.
Cool. All right. So going clockwise on the order that people are on my screen, I'm going to be up next. So I think that I'm also going to create a landmark. I was thinking about the compass of defenses and what that might mean. So I think I'm going to attach something to the derelict ship. Oh, no, my clicking's not working. Let me see. There we go. So I think that I'm interested in this idea that the derelict ship includes like echoes of the past. I'm picturing that this is, this is connected to radiant technology, maybe to the holographic vines. So I think that there's this landmark associated with the derelict ship called the History Grove. And it's called that because the holographic vines that grow up around there sometimes show what seem to be scenes from history or moments from the history of this area, more or less recently in the past. And I think that, maybe some people think that they do this deliberately to, to tell the community things that it needs to know or to remember. Other people think that it's just a random or arbitrary sort of physical function. Nobody really knows how the History Grove works. Address. What is the address of the History Grove? I think it's something symbolic. I think maybe the address of the History Grove is right where you need it to be. When you need it, it's there for you. You find it. I obviously am given to the interpretation that it is intentional and conscious, so I don't know if that's true. And its true name. I think the true name is... The true name is a powerful sense memory of something forgotten or unknown. Right. That is my landmark for the derelict ship. So continuing on clockwise, Dana. Oh, sorry, I didn't really explain how this is linked to defenses for me, which I think I should. Like, this is part of the round. If it's not clear how this relates to the defenses, then we should make sure that that is made clear. So I think that, like, this is, like, some people consider this to be in part an early warning system, that, like, if trouble's coming, you'll always know from the History Grove. Again, not really clear whether that's true. Sometimes people have been able to interpret things there in ways that were usefully defensive. Sometimes people have sort of retrospectively been like, obviously that was a warning that we should have heeded. Some people think this is just arbitrary, but definitely some people consider it to be part of the town's defenses.
Are you okay with putting that in, like, somewhere in the true name or something as well? Just like something about the warning or address? I don't know.
Yeah, sure.
Just so I can remember in the future.
For sure. Maybe I'll add warnings or something else to the true name. Does that sort of capture it enough? Agatha, is that enough? A sort of indication, or?
Yes.
Cool. Thank you. All right, Dana, you want to create a landmark, a neighborhood, or our first resident?
I was thinking of adding a landmark to the terrace farms, and maybe I'm like playing around a little bit with the defense lens, but I was thinking of creating like a floodgate, like something that sits atop of the terrace and like prevents the when there's a heavy storm, protects it from like completely flooding and things like that.
Cool.
So I think floodgate. Address. I think the address should be something like at the highest point of the terrace. And the true name, I don't know. Smells of frost. Um, but still works.
Cool. All right. Puckett, do you want to build us a neighborhood, a landmark, or a resident?
Ooh. I mean, I want to do a resident, but unfortunately they're attached to a landmark so the landmark needs to exist before they can.
Yeah.
Um, so I will create the landmark of the barracks, which is equidistant between each watchtower. True name. Just because Agatha started the trend of alliteration, the true name is Sleepy Soldier's Slumber.
I'm so glad that you were actually able to complete the alliteration instead of giving up near the end.
Awesome. Okay, so the way that we end our rounds is with an event. And Agatha, as the person who declared the compass for this round, you're going to create our first event. And that's something that changes or alters the city in some way. Related to the compass, again, in whatever way you want, or to a card that was played during the round. You're going to create an event, again, just as a sticky note that's connected to one of the sticky notes already on the board, either to a neighborhood or a landmark or residence once we have them. And what we want is for you to describe the event in a sentence or two. Tell us about what it is that changed within the community because of it. And once you've done that, then we'll go around and each of us will have a chance to respond to the event.
Oh, okay. So once I do that, everyone. Okay. Wait, everyone has a chance as a voice of this. Okay, got it. I think the very obvious event is, how do I duplicate? Is event. Wait, should I put it like as a bracket?
However you want.
Event.
Yeah.
Let's see. The event is the History Grove warns of an imminent attack. I think, and the attack, and that's the sentence that I'll write. But I think what it looks like is that, let's see, there's a vision of maybe of Lachlann before, where everyone is kind of like living a relatively peaceful life, and then like overnight there's like an ambush, and I think the vision has a lot of like fire, maybe like radiant tech type of weapons, that are hard to parse because the vision is not, it's not the clearest. And also this like palpable smell of fear. That's the vision.
Cool. So we're going to go around clockwise here, and each of us is going to represent a voice of the city. So on your turn as a voice of the city, you can do one of three things. You can ask a rhetorical question about the origins, implications, or repercussions of the event. So we don't answer the question, we just ask it. We can state an opinion in one or two sentences that some members of the community hold toward the event. Or we can show a consequence in a sentence or two of people in the city reacting to the event. Going clockwise, I guess I'll be the first voice of the city. We're not going to write down these voices of the city anywhere. We're just sort of creating and reflecting some things that happened. I think I'm going to state an opinion, which is only weirdos and religious nuts believe in this History Grove nonsense. Dana, what's your voice of the city going to be?
I think after the warnings, like the soldiers in the barracks started like doing double shifts.
Cool. Puckett, what's your voice of the city?
Oh. How many people do we think had that sort of disbelief about the vines?
Good question.
And it's not a rhetorical question. I'm thinking about a consequence.
I mean, you're welcome to define the answer here.
All right, a consequence of that attitude is that enough people disbelieved it that the soldiers in the barracks really had to scramble. And there was some non-trivial damage done to our defenses as a result. I mean, we had that advanced warning. People chose not to heed it. This is the outcome. I should say some people chose not to heed it.
Awesome. Thank you. Agatha, you're going to be our last voice of the city for this event.
Sure. I'm also I'm reading Altering the City, which is also a thing that I can do, I guess.
That's right. Sorry. Do you think that we've altered the city at all in this event?
I think so. I mean, let me see. I may select a card and cards on the table that I feel have been changed. Reflect on the change. This could be shape of rewriting a landmark's address or neighborhood's reputation, moving a resident from. It can take place multiple times during an event. Should always happen at least once. Anybody is free to suggest adjustments, but the person who declared the event has final say on what stays and what goes. Whoa. Okay. When changing the city, never destroy or completely remove a card from play. So I do think. Oh my gosh! I think something happened to the terrace farm.
Oh no!
Because I think that's the first place that would get attacked is the resource, right? I like how I was like, oh, there's a vision of an attack, and then Puckett's like, bro, there's an attack. So because of that, I don't think the terrace farm has been completely like raised, but I do think that a part of it has been destroyed in the process. So I don't know. I'm like open to what y'all think. Then, like, should the rep or the true name be changed for the terrace farms?
Yeah, I think it could go either way.
I feel like the rep would change more than the true name.
Yeah, I think that maybe people would forget that the farmers had been so arrogant before. Like now it's more like fragile beauties we must protect.
Ooh. Okay. Yeah, I like that. What do you think, Donna, since you were the one who like created it?
I like it. I think it's like that. I'm not sure how what to change to reflect it.
Okay. Then I'm gonna change very beautiful to fragile beauty. Maybe I'll keep the maybe arrogant. I think I'm gonna keep them maybe arrogant because I feel like but instead of it's like, oh, the farmers are arrogant, it's like this reflects our arrogance.
Cool. But I think at this point we also have to decide who actually attacked, right? Like that's a pretty important part of the story.
Yeah.
I mean, the Hand of the Cocoon seemed like they could be an obvious choice, or one of the other factions, or maybe something like some weird kaiju or something. What do people think?
Maybe
Mother
a faction
Dragon.
I was going to say maybe we haven't encountered the faction yet. I mean, if you want to have the Mother Dragon attack so that I can like scold everybody and like, we could have stopped this if we just had that baby here.
Agatha, what do you think? Was it the dragon? Or a dragon?
I mean, sure. I'm not super tied to like what it actually is. Though actually never thought about it. If the vision was it involved radiant tech, does that make sense that it's the mother dragon? Is the mother dragon radiant tech?
Oh, how interesting. I mean, that could be it, but I think that the visions can be pretty like abstract.
Yeah, that's true.
All right. And then, Agatha, the last thing that you do as part of the event is to create a second perspective on the event to reflect a different sort of idea about what happened exactly, and write that in on the same index card.
Oh. And did you act as a voice of the city, Shane?
Yeah.
Okay.
My voice of the city was the perspective that you can't trust these history groves. It's all just garbage.
Yeah. I also, before that, I also want to add that that I think there's a change in the history grove as well.
Mm-hmm.
Or let's see, the reputation. History grove address right where you need to be. True name, a powerful sense of memory. Or maybe not history grove, but rather the derelict ship. I think that there are more people who are going to the derelict ship versus before it was just the quote unquote crazies. So reputation, haunted, raid tech, and I think the reputation is also well, actually the true name is Echoes of the Past, and then Warnings of the Future.
Cool.
People are taking that more seriously now.
Awesome.
Right, sorry. And then the last thing, completing, declare no single perspective. I should end the event phase by writing a second perspective on the back of the tinted card or directly underneath the first perspective for an online game. Event's other side should complicate it. Add a new point of view that came up during the conversation or one that was previously unconsidered. Okay, the history grove warns of an attack via a vision. I don't even know. We were attacked by a dragon. What could be a second perspective?
Do you want suggestions?
Yeah, I would love to have suggestions.
Maybe a second perspective is that the dragon attack wasn't really what the grove was warning about, and that something worse is coming.
Maybe
Amazing.
a second perspective is some people in town are kind of almost happy about this because they thought the terrace farmers were too big for their britches and enjoyed seeing them taken down a notch or two.
Wow, both are so terrible. Let's see. Okay, duplicate.
I mean, on the one hand, one is an external threat, the other is an internal division. So, which way do you want to take it?
I don't know, because I do feel like the internal thing gives more character to Lachlann, whereas the external threat is just another threat, and we already have a lot of threats. So
Fair.
So maybe, yeah, I'm gonna go with the internal one.
Yeah, that's cool.
I don't know how to make tie I don't know what to event perspective to. I guess some residents of Lachlann are happy. I don't know if happy is the right word. Are satisfied with the farmers being taken down a notch. They need us too.
Cool. All right. That is the end of our first round. It's the top of the hour, so let's take a short break here and we'll come back in 10 minutes. And I guess I think we probably have enough time that we all get to declare a compass and do a round. So if we're going to go clockwise, then I'll come back and do that in 10. Is that good for everyone?
Yeah, sounds
Works
good.
for me.
Cool.
I'm back.
Cool. All right. So I'm going to declare a compass for this round. I am interested in finding out more about one of our community ideals. So I'm going to make that ideal our compass for this round. And I've added a space in the top left on Miro for us to keep track of the compasses because the game recommends keeping an eye on what's already been a compass so that can help people decide on future compasses. So the compass is reserve respect for those who earn it. I'm interested in seeing what that means in the community. Now, I guess I now have to put a card down, don't I? All right. So I want to put I want to make a resident. So I guess it has to be someone connected either to the History Grove, the Floodgate, or the Barracks or the Watchtowers. Just going to look at who the community members that we've already established are who might fit in somewhere here. Sorry, just thinking. I should have thought this through more. I got as far as thinking about what my compass was going to be, but now I'm struggling to think how to flesh it out. The All right. Maybe what I'm gonna make is actually a landmark rather than a resident. So I want to develop the distillery neighborhood a bit more. So I'm gonna make a landmark, and so like what I remember us establishing about the distillery is that there is a distillery there, but there's also, there's a tavern, there's housing. It's actually a sort of area or district and not just the distillery itself, and that it has a bad reputation. So I think that what I want to establish as a landmark is that there's like some sort of, well, sewage treatment plant seems like too much, but some sort of like waterworks or something to do with the way that waste is treated. Maybe recycling depot might be close enough to what I want. I just want to put something in this neighborhood that is like more positive, that this isn't just a place where people go to get into trouble or just a place where people go to drink. But also, in a town where there's a lot of emphasis apparently on the importance of farming, and I think we know there's a lot of emphasis on the importance of like research and observation and things like that, that maybe this part of town doesn't get the respect that it deserves sometimes. Sorry, reputation of the recycling depot. I'm just going to remind myself what the elements of a reputation are. Sorry, it's not even a reputation, is it? It's the address. That's what I should be trying to say. So that's easy. The address is that it's the lowest point in town. And then the true name is foul smells and uncouth yelling. That is my landmark, and I will pass to Dana to create something for this round.
Great. So I was thinking maybe doing like a new neighborhood, and I was thinking I don't know how we frame this. I don't remember exactly how we frame this in the game, but like we talk about these holographic vines, and like I was thinking if maybe they could be like a whole place with all holographic flora, like the holographic forest or the holographic jungle.
Yeah, love that.
And I was thinking in associating with the compass with an idea of like.
Sorry, just gonna pause for a sec. So Ian's joining us here.
Right.
So I'll just add him to the stream. Hey, how you doing?
Hi, everybody. Sorry to have missed you last week. Sorry to have missed the first hour of this.
You didn't miss anything last week, but that's okay.
I missed you guys.
Fair enough. So just so you know, I am recording the session. Is that okay for you?
Of course. Hello,
All right.
recording.
And I'll just sort of talk through briefly where we're up to. Sorry, I've interrupted Dana in the middle of her turn, but we'll come back to you in just a minute. So we're playing this game of, I'm sorry, did you say Street Magic, to develop Lachlann, the community that we live in. Have you got the Miro link open?
I do, yes.
Cool. So you'll see that things are kind of clustered into little colors. Each of those colors represents a neighborhood, and you'll see that one of the cards for each of those clusters has a little N in the corner, which is the name of the neighborhood itself. Okay. So we have like a derelict ship, the crystalline megaliths, the distillery, and the terrace farms, and we're just about to get the holographic forest. And then arranged around that are things like landmarks and events.
L indicating a landmark.
Yep. We haven't added any yet, but the other option is to add residents, and we're going in clockwise order. So you'll get a chance to see a few other people have a turn before it's your chance to add something. So you'll get an idea of how things work.
Okay.
Do you have any questions about what we're doing before we get started?
I actually have a copy of the game rules open, so
Sweet.
I'm sure I'll be able to figure it out.
Sweet, no worries.
So please, Donna, continue. I don't mean to. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh, that's right. Thank you. So, Dana, tell us about the holographic forests.
Okay, great. So what I was thinking is the reputation of the holographic forest is like this dangerous place where if you go alone, you will confront the things that you fear and your traumas or things like that. So I was thinking like that is where I was thinking the link with the compass is like maybe like people that go to the holographic forest alone and come back like earn some sort of the respect in our community. So
Cool.
True name. I was thinking like something like wildest dreams and terrifying nightmares.
Excellent. Cool. Pocket, what are you going to add for this round?
You know, this is just too fitting, and I had to do it. So I just threw out a couple more cards, and wouldn't you know it, the Fool popped up. So I am going to create a person. And bear with me because I had like a ton of windows open, so I need to get back over to the Miro board. Yeah, the person is named Yuvan. I need to zoom in for this. And then how does all this stuff change when we're doing an individual?
Yes, good question. So to create a resident, you give them a name, pronouns. You describe this resident briefly to the table. If they have a noteworthy professional or other important qualities, you can write that down, but just using a few words. They also get a true name, but unlike neighborhoods and landmarks, you establish their true name through playing out a short vignette. A short scene, it says that all the players participate in. So you sort of frame a vignette as a glimpse into this resident's daily life. You decide where the scene takes place, sort of broadly what's happening. Other players can play other local residents or aspects of the setting, like the weather, music, flora and fauna, sight, smells, tastes, the passage of time. So yeah, you can kind of frame a scene and ask some of us or all of us how you'd like us to participate, and we'll play that out briefly and then give the resident a true name.
Okay. It's morning, and Yuvan, the brewer / distiller, is trying to come up with something new, something that he hasn't done before. And there's a certain amount of liquor that he holds back, that he allows to age for situations when something good is called for, something at least something that's been allowed to sit and mellow a little bit more. But today he's trying to figure out something that he can get done relatively quickly with a higher alcohol content for the people who come by the tavern and so on. So I think it would be interesting to just get kind of weird with this and maybe have somebody take on the role of grains and fruits and someone else take on the role of barrels and other containers that the liqueur might be put into for any sort of aging. Somebody else might play the fermentation process and how it interacts with what's being put in. And then maybe somebody else plays like the palate just to figure out how this works. Does that, I know it seems a little weird, but how does all that sound?
I'm not exactly sure how I would go about doing that, but give me a job and I'll do my best.
I'm a little. I feel like it's a little too abstract for me.
Okay.
Like, is there? Yeah, I think is there a direction or like a theme of this, like this scene that you want to do?
Yeah. The upshot of it is Yuvan wants to be able to serve a beverage that will draw from the community, from the terrace farms, for example, and actually bring the community together and maybe help people start thinking differently about this neighborhood.
Okay, so how about instead of like, well, in addition to the materials that you mentioned before, the 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 botanicals or the grains and the barrels and so on, let's like attach a person to each of those things. And we don't have to name them, but I can imagine
A
you even
farmer,
going,
a cooper.
yeah, you even going out and meeting with like a forager of some kind who is bringing back these like ice blue like elderberries or something to make a kind of like gin,
All
like
right, you're the
botanical
forager.
gin. Yeah. Okay. Sure. Um, I think that they are, um, uh, wrapped in heavy, like heavy water resistant clothes, and like they go foraging in the early hours of the morning, um, when everything is like covered in dew and dripping, and so this person always has a like a scent of like fresh earth around them.
Mhm.
Their hands are always covered in always covered in dirt, always have dirt under the nails. Um, and when they come into I think that this is a long-standing um, relationship where they've been doing this for like a couple of months at this point, as Yuvan is experimenting with different uh, uh, like distilling processes. And the first thing that they do let's say like every Thursday or something, like first thing in the morning, is that they will come in, the forager will come in, and they and Yuvan will like taste the first mash together, like the strongest, like least diluted form of this stuff, and like just like a nip of it, but it's strong and it burns like ice. So yeah,
Okay.
I'm imagining the two of them standing in the silent brewery, like before anyone else has awoken, um, drinking like just a thimble of this incredibly powerful spirit.
So Donna, since you came up with the Terraced Farms neighborhood, would you be willing to play a farmer from that neighborhood who is bringing in grains and whatnot?
Sure, sounds great.
So, what do you think that looks like as the farmer comes in with, well, whatever grains or fruits that they've grown locally?
I think like they come with some baskets with an assortment of grapes and fruits. I think if you're like experimenting with things, they
Mhm.
like they know you are experimenting, so they bring like different things in order for you to like try like different, even like maybe not all different like uh, plants, but maybe different parts of the plants of different states of maturation from some of those plants, and
Mhm.
like and like they like unfold their baskets and like present it to you and explain like this is this and this is this and maybe this is this, and you remember that grain that you like it so much, where we got more of that here, and like I imagine that sort of scene.
Okay. Do you think that farmer gets any trouble from the other farmers for contributing to the distillery, considering that's a
Mm.
kind of a trouble spot?
Yeah, maybe it got like some bad reputation, but I think this farmer really doesn't care. Like, I don't think it's like a big problem, but maybe like a sort of social bad standing or a thing like that.
So there's a little bit of grumbling about it from the
Get a little
Yeah.
neighbors.
ribbing, yeah.
Agatha, since you play Rona, and this place has kind of a bad reputation, what do you think the town's attitude would be to this new kind of mash that Yuvin's trying to put together to bring the town kind of together? But still, it's in this neighborhood with a bad reputation because of trouble that's come out of there and people drinking and perhaps getting in fights and whatnot.
I think people are reluctant because they feel like it's frivolous. Especially at the time. Well, I don't know. Actually, I don't know the timeline. I guess this time, it's like, what is it? It can't, like, all of these are not like linear. But I was just thinking like, oh, like there was just an attack, and now you're thinking about like
I figure this
brewing
is
something.
probably a while after the attack.
Okay. Yeah.
But like what you're
Then
saying is that time and effort could be better. People feel that time and effort could be better spent at like doing something more like material or like directly beneficial to the town.
Yes, that's what I was saying. So I do think that is kind of like the general response, but not everyone is responding like that. I think some people are interested because of one reason or another. Maybe some people just like Yuvan, and then they're going because they're like, oh well, I don't want him to, like, I want to support him, even like, yeah.
I mean, the card that I pulled is the Fool. So, he's likable. It's just that he kind of puts his energies into different things that maybe people don't find as useful. Kind of a pie in the sky dreamer. So, since we're all participating in this, Shane, how does this beverage taste when it finally gets to people? I mean, is it something that's really good and tasty? Is it something that's awful?
So obviously I've missed some of the discussion that led up to this, but I understand that Yuvan has put some resources into creating a new kind of beer or something similar. Is that
Like
about
like a
right?
spirit, yeah.
A spirit?
A beer, a liqueur, whatever. He's trying to come up with something new that he can get to the tavern's tables more quickly.
I mean, I think that Yuvan insists that once you develop a taste for it, it is absolutely delicious. But maybe there's a bit of a like, Emperor's New Clothes vibe about this drink, that some people just think that it's completely disgusting. Others insist no, like once you get used to it, it's really good.
You're just describing like craft beer culture, basically.
I was thinking that that's what I kept hearing in college when I told people that I didn't like beer. You just got to get used to the taste of it. It's like, but why when there's whiskey? Okay, so do we have any thoughts about the true name?
I mean, the Fool to me seems like a good and appropriate true name in the circumstances.
Yeah.
But in the interest of carrying on with Agatha's alliteration, foraged and fermented fool.
Amazing.
Also, Agatha, I finally think I thought of something for your alliteration for the watchtowers. Crumbling crystal columns.
Well,
It's about the closest I could get. I couldn't find a synonym for platforms that starts with a C.
yeah. I don't think I'll say columns, because I think the columns are the megaliths already.
Yeah.
So
what about constructions?
Ooh.
Oh? I'm cool with that. Constructions.
All right, so we've got the true name for Yuvan.
Awesome. So, continuing around, Agatha, do you want to build us a neighborhood, landmark, or resident?
Yeah, I'm going to add a resident as well, and the resident will be of the Floodgate.
Cool.
Let's see.
I'm still like catching up on all these locations, and they're so cool.
Okay, I would put it like beside it, right? That's
Sure.
how we're doing it, because it's like radiating from the middle. Okay. R. And the residents. Oh, I don't have a name. The resident's name will be. What's like a cool crystal name? That's not cool. So.
Geode.
Oh.
Quartz, amethyst.
Yeah, like feldspar. Mica.
Okay. I think their name will be. I think Quartz is a cool name. Yeah, Quartz. Quartz pronouns she, they. What else do you need for?
So, a resident, you just like sort of tell us a little bit about them. You can write down some details if you want, and then play out the scene and give them a true name.
Cool. Okay, yeah. So, Quartz, yeah, going along with the theme of, I mean, the compass of reserve respect for those who earn it. Quartz is the person who discovered the use. I don't know if they discovered the use of the flood or if they moved it from somewhere else to put it here. So they're the one that, or they just created it themselves. It's hard to say. Smells of rust, but still works. So yeah, maybe Quartz like discovered the floodgate and then moved it to Terrace Farms. So Quartz has like is generally, I think has like a high reputation, if that makes sense. She's very proud, perhaps arrogant. Because she knows that she's smart and she can get things done. And I think maybe they are the one that kind of gave Terrace Farms the arrogant reputation. because they're like a little bit brusque, and I think steps on toes in the name of efficiency. So they're kind of like on the other end of the spectrum compared to Yuvan, where Yuvan is like foolish but like kind of likable, just kind of, you know, like, oh yeah, Yuvan, that guy. Whereas Quartz is like will get things done, but and like demands respect and earns it, but it's also like you respect them, but you don't necessarily like them. Let's see. And in terms of, oh yeah, profession is terrace farm, like maintainer, caretaker, terrace farm caretaker, because they're not one of the farmers. They're like the person that like fixes stuff or helps improve it.
Cool.
Let's see. Terrace farm caretaker. Let's, so in terms of a vignette, I think I might just describe the vignette. And I think it's in like a meeting, maybe like a town hall type of thing, where everyone is gathered. I wonder where they would gather. I guess they would gather at the foot of the terrace farms, so not actually going up to the farm proper. And everyone is sitting down, but Quartz is standing and like telling everyone, I think giving like a report on the condition of the terrace farms, and then saying like, these are the things that we need for the terrace farms to like improve production this year. So I'm going to need this from you. I'm going to need this from you. And you can't get as much of our produce this year because your son left. So obviously you don't need that much food. And like just kind of saying it and then being like, okay, now you can ask questions. And that's the vignette.
Cool. So what's the true name?
True name? Oh my goodness. I want to say like true name. Brilliant produce tyrant. Okay.
Amazing. Thank you. So, Ian, it's going to be your first time to create a landmark neighborhood or resident. Are you good to do that, or do you want to ask?
Yeah. I have an idea. I think I'm going to create a landmark.
Cool.
And I think I'm going to do it. Can I make my own post-it note here?
Yep. You use the little icon that's kind of like a folded up corner on a square.
Right.
If you click that, it'll let you choose a color and then drop it somewhere.
I'm going to make a landmark in the holographic forest, or at least next to the holographic forest. And I think I'm going to make, my gosh, how do I pick the font size?
I think it'll automatically adjust as you type.
Oh, I see. Okay. So I'm going to make a landmark that is, so Donna, you came up with the holographic forest, right?
Yep.
Can you tell me a little bit about like where it is in relation to town?
I don't think we are so clear on the geographic location. Like, I think it has to be like maybe a little like far away, but I like you can make it whatever the landmark needs.
If it's all right with you, I'd like to position the holographic forest on the slope that is downhill from Lachlann.
Sure.
And I think that the location that I want to create is when we last played, when we were doing the heist in the city of Ironheart. Am I getting that right?
Iron Harbor.
Iron Harbor. We talked about how one of the ways that people get around in Pine Lock is with these like ski gondola type conveyances, like cable cars. And I'd like to create a cable car station that I think is right at the edge of this holographic forest. And when people take the cable car, the cable car like travels out above the holographic forest, and so you get this view looking down on it from above. I think that the name that people refer to this as, because I think that this is a I think this is a structure that like predates, like this is from the Radiant period, and maybe it doesn't like work the same way anymore. Maybe it doesn't have the same kind of like radiant energy powering it, but the structure itself and the cables are from then. And I think this is called Tapacis Station.
Cool.
This is how you get down to Iron Harbor and as well as other places.
Right. So a landmark gets an address, which is a literal or metaphorical location, and a true name.
Okay, so I'm gonna get. I think I already spoke about the address, which is above the forest, like at the edge of the forest. And I think that the true name, I you might take it upon yourselves to alliterate this, but I think the true
Alliteration
name
not required.
is like the moments that the kind of like almost like out of time moments that happen when the cable car breaks down and people are left kind of hanging above the holographic forest and the things that they see down there, the things that the forest shows them.
Amazing.
Which could be, I don't know what those things are. It's not up to me. But yeah, I'm going to say true name. Is moments of secret suspension. Okay, that's my go.
All right. So coming to the end of the round, I'm going to create an event. I had an event in mind when we started this round, but now I have I have a new event that I'm gonna do. So my event is linked to Yuvan. And what do we decide? We're gonna call this event. So we already have a character in our regular Songs for the Dusk game named Helden, who's the mayor or mayor equivalent of Lachlann. So I think that the event is that people are very surprised when Yuvan and Helden start dating, given their very different social statuses. So we'll go around for voices of the city. Again, that's a rhetorical question, an opinion, or a consequence. So clockwise, Dana, what's your voice of the city?
I think like people in the city don't like pin Juven as some like good with relationships, so they are like already gossiping. They are gonna break up.
Fair. Puckett, what's your voice of the city?
What the hell are they thinking? They, speaking of Held.
Mm-hmm. Agatha, a voice of the city?
A consequence can be about I think the people that live in the distillery are much more welcoming of Helden now compared to uh, how they used to treat them.
Right. Well, I think in that case, I'm gonna because I have to alter something that's already on the table. I think that I'm gonna add the distillery neighborhood's reputation, and say it's trouble, but can be welcoming. All right. And Ian, a voice of the city.
Yeah, I think that among all of this sort of like not distrust exactly, but like skepticism about this new relationship, I think that interest starts to pick up in this new concoction of Yuvins. I think people start to like pay more attention to this now that there's a name like Helden's associated with it. And I think even maybe some people think like what's in that drink that would make the mayor fall for somebody, you know? So
Mm-hmm.
I think the drink gets a little bit of like a I don't know, like a like a dangerous reputation in a positive way. Like, oh, who knows what's gonna happen? Like,
Uh-huh. All right. So I have to create a second perspective on the event. So it seems like everyone's voices of the city are that this is like a bad or fake, like either a bad idea or a sort of fake relationship or something like that. So maybe the second perspective is that they're actually well matched and in love, but that's not really a second perspective on the event itself. It's more like a different perspective on how people see it. Um, Second, sorry, I'm going to go back to the text about how to create a second perspective. Oh yeah, so it can include a new point of view that was previously unconsidered. So I am going to make it as a tragic romantic. Yuvin and Helvin are actually well matched and in love.
reserve
Again, these
respect for
aren't
those who earn it, right?
the so these are that's not necessarily true. It's just another perspective. We're not establishing truths with these things. All right, so we're nearly at the top of the hour. That round took longer than the last one, so I'm a little nervous about fitting this in now, but we'll get somewhere, so that's okay. Let's just take a short break and be back at the top of the hour, if that's good for everyone.
Yep, sounds good.
Okay.
Thanks for letting me join midway through.
Oh, no worries.
I'm back.
I'm back.
Sweet. Well, Dana, it is your turn to declare a compass and start the round.
So I was thinking for next compass something like loss and recovery.
Cool.
I don't know how to like.
I can write it in if that's helpful.
Okay, great.
So loss and recovery?
Yeah.
Sweet.
And I was thinking of adding landmark to the derelict ship, and I did something like the Tech Boneyard. And what I was thinking for this is like we like recycle all this technology and keep fixing things, and sometimes like there are things that are are too far gone to be fixed, but we just like keep it in a place for when like someone would think of a use for this. and that is the Tech Boneyard. And I think the address is like right in front of the ship. And the true name is Radiant No More.
Cool.
How do I remove this arrow?
Just don't worry about the arrow. It's not in the way or anything. Cool. Pocket, what are you going to create for us?
I'm going to create another landmark and attach it to the derelict ship. It is the sorting house. And the address is... I get the feeling it's a series of tents. It's like it's not a single building. It's just a bunch of tents where stuff gets sorted, like nuts, bolts, screws, stuff that's useful from whatever can be found in the tech boneyard.
Cool.
Alrighty. And I think its true name is Useful Once Again, to kind of echo the tech boneyard. Okay with that, Donna?
Yeah, I like it a lot.
Okay.
Cool. Agatha, what are you going to give us?
I'm going to what is the word? Say hi to a resident. Well, sorry. Yeah, I don't know what it's called. Meeting a resident. Yes. I'm going to meet a resident. And that resident is Blair, who is Rona's father. And let's see. Yeah, Rona's father, and the theme is loss and recovery. I think Blair is Pinion, but is not actually local to or no, actually Blair is from Lachlann, but left like when he was much younger, and then later on returned with Rona. And Rona was like pretty young at that point. And I think when Blair left, he actually left with his whole family. So he left like when he was maybe like preteen type of age, left with his family. But when he came back, he was the only one with his young daughter Rona. And I think he doesn't really talk about it while he was away from Lachlann, but it's I think you can tell that his obsession with safety and the safety of the people in Lachlann has a lot to do with his experiences outside of Lachlann. And there are definitely Yeah, there's definitely times when it like people would be like, okay, like why is this such a big deal? And kind of like freaks out for a second, and then he needs to like take a moment to just like relax, and like be like, okay, we can focus on the problem at hand. And once again, I'm just gonna do a vignette to save on time. I think the vignette is him. Like there are a lot of times when he is okay, the location is in the barracks, and that's where both him and Rona live. There are times when he goes from the barracks and then climbs onto one of the watchtowers, one of those crumbling crystal constructions, the platforms, and he stares out. I think he stares out south, and just sits there and says nothing. Oh, right, his true name. I think Blair's true name is hold on tightly to what you have.
Aw. I love him. Cool. So, Ian, what are you gonna add to the board?
Yeah, okay. I'm gonna make a resident, I think, or maybe even a group of residents, a specific kind of resident. I think that these people, and I use people in like heavy scare quotes, appear at Catabas' station. But I think maybe they also might appear, things like this might appear in and around the derelict ship. But at least when they are at the station, they are called the conductors. And I think that the conductors are like ghosts, but for like the old AI system that was like the conductor of the sky train. So they're these kind of like echoes or refractions of the like virtual like holographic concierge that would appear to show guests to their seats, and would come on, would appear in the cars to like make announcements and stuff. And I think they appear like holographic, what almost like cubist people, like very very low bit resolution, like not even 8-bit, but like 4-bit people. Just kind of like a vague approximation of a human shape. And I think that the rumor is that there are lines or branches of the cable car system that nobody has, like they've never seen a train like make that turn, and the rumor is that the conductors know how to get there. I think that I'm going to frame a vignette just like Agatha did, which is, I think that there's like a group of teens, maybe like 15 or 16 years old, who are daring each other to go and talk to the conductors. One October evening, or whatever passes for October in this strange new world. And I think that the the sort of scrawniest and least popular among them is the one to take them up on it. And this kid goes up to the conductor, who leans down and like the kid like whispers in their ear, heavy scare quotes, their ear. And the conductor brings the kid on board the train, and they're never seen again. Like a sort of Pied Piper of Hamelin situation. I don't know that this actually happens, but it's like a ghost story that kids tell each other.
Cool.
So, as for a true name, something like Echoes of Past Glory, refractions of past glory, I think.
Cool. All right. So I want to add a land. It's my turn, I think. Yes. I'm going to add a landmark connected to the terrace farms. My landmark is the Memorial Gardens. So this is where people are buried, or human remains, ashes, things like that tend to be scattered in a very beautiful floral garden that extends out around the terrace farms, sort of increasingly all around the town, I guess, and where people go to, remember lost loved ones, reflect, things like that. So, yeah, the address is spreading all around town, and the true name is Beauty Despite Beauty in the Midst of Grief. And yeah, beauty in the midst of grief and grief in the midst of beauty. All right, that is my landmark. So, Dana, it's time for you to create an event.
Okay, I was thinking something like a sort of flood that interfere with like the ditch. Like I think I'm gonna like attach it to the floodgate, and let's call it event and the transcendent flood. And I think it's like this like supernatural rain that just interfere with every like mechanism it touches, so the flood just keep pouring through the gardens and into the city and making like a mess.
All right. So, Pocket, a voice of the city.
Donna, remind me what you just said.
So there is this like there was this flood at some point that like has a supernatural quality to it, that transcendent quality, and that is that every like technology the like the water touches it breaks until it's dried out.
There's a certain number of people in town who don't think that the flood was real, and it's really just people trying to slack off. claiming that their equipment is broken.
Agatha, voice of the city.
I want to show consequence, which is that a lot of people during this transcendent flood, because things are not working, gathered together. Maybe at the foot of the terrace farm. I'm not sure. I feel like we didn't create a gathering spot. They all gathered. Oh, maybe they all go to the distillery and just spend time in each other's presence, quote unquote, slacking off, doing nothing but enjoying each other.
That's cool. Ian, a voice of the city.
Yeah, I guess this isn't a perspective so much. When you hear what I'm going to say, you'll be like, oh yeah, of course it's not like a person's perspective. I think that we see somewhere in town up on like maybe like a telephone pole or something, whatever the equivalent is in Lachlann. We see in his like maintenance coveralls, we see Uncle Doctor just like completely unconscious, like in his harness, like lashed to the telephone pole, got caught in the middle of the flood and is just like out for 2 days or something, for however long it takes. So just Uncle Doctor like completely dark and powered down in the lashing rain as it's coming down. So I guess that's a consequence.
All right. My consequence is going to be that there is either a new or resurgent sort of religious movement or sentiment around weather worship.
Nice.
Um,
So I got to modify a thing. No?
Yep.
Yep. Mm,
You also get to do one last voice of the city.
one last voice. Yes. I think the last voice is like all these like after the flood is starting to dry out, like all these like people coming to the floodgate and like testing it to see if like we maybe it was like a one-time thing. Maybe this is not a magical flood, but just the floodgate wasn't working right. And I think like what I'm gonna change is the true name of the floodgate is gonna be but still works sometimes.
All right. And to finish up, a second perspective on the flood, the event.
Yeah. I think there are like some people that some farmers are starting to think that this there are farms are becoming too insecure to like keep going here, and like they are trying to find other places in town or in other parts, like maybe relocate.
Cool. Do you want to create that as a card?
Yeah.
Sweet. So, that's the end of that round. I just want to talk about timing because we have time for basically one more round today. My ideal was that everyone would get to declare a compass and sort of have their own round. But we've got two people who haven't declared a round yet, and there's also a separate final round that we would do to finish out the game.
I'm happy to forego my compass since I joined late.
And I was going to say the same thing. So that would actually let us get to the final round.
If people are happy with that, we will just jump to the final round. So the way that this final round is different from the other rounds is that we won't have a compass. Sorry, I've just got to look up this part of the rules. So there's two differences. We're going to take a minute to like talk about what we'd still like to see about the city, what questions are still unanswered, what do we need to, like, what would be good to get to in this final round. We won't have a compass per se. Although if we all decide, if we're all leaning in the same way, we can call that a compass, but it can just be a sort of free for all. The round is going to be the same, like in that you can create neighborhoods, landmarks, and residents, but everyone on their turn, if they want to, can also create an event, as opposed to one person at the end choosing an event. So if you have an event in mind, you can create it here. With apologies, I'm going to have to pop away just for a couple of minutes to help out my housemate. So conveniently, this is a GM-less game, and I'm just going to leave it to all of you to talk about anything that needs to happen, and then just launch into the round, and I'll be back in a few minutes. Thanks.
Do you want to go in just like clockwise on the display as well? Like again, and just each person say one thing that you feel like are like questions still unanswered?
Yeah, sure.
Do we all have the same display?
I think so.
It would be Danav first, and then you, Puckett, and then Agatha, and then me.
That's what I'm seeing. If
Yeah.
like Shane's in the top row for 3.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Does anyone want to start?
I'll start.
Anna? Well,
No, sorry. I thought like we were saying like starting in order. I thought it was my turn, but I prefer to go later.
Oh, okay. Would you like to just go clockwise and have me start, so it'd be me and then you?
Sure. Go ahead.
Yeah, I maybe this is part of the game that I missed early on in the game. But I want to like situate all of the things that we've created with the events of our last game, where we had the hand of the cocoon having traced our like our little heist job gone awry back to Lachlann. Like I want to know how those events connect to everything that we have created here. So if I was to make an event, that's probably what I would explore.
I think there's like a little bit an answer about where people actually live. Like I think we think like people live in the crystal in megalith and like maybe the farmers live in the terrace farms, but I think there's like some residential zone missing.
I'm looking at it. I think we're missing something that I'm thinking like some sort of disaster, even if it was quite a ways in the past, that the community had to recover from, and that the signs of it are still visible today. Maybe it has something to do with the derelict ship. Maybe it has something to do with the forest. But it'd be nice to have something that left scars.
Do you think something that is related to the shatter that's close by?
I'm thinking it happened more recently than that.
Okay. And for me, I feel like I kept referring to there being a meeting place, but I didn't know where that was, so I'm probably just going to make that. Yeah.
there's no center of town, I don't think.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I'm gonna do.
And maybe that's what the disaster. Maybe maybe it was like a really ornate meeting hall at one point, and then a disaster happened, and now it's still the meeting hall, but people have patched over it or are trying to rebuild it, but its work is going slowly or in fits and starts.
Is that what you want to create?
But is that something that would be okay with you?
Oh, if you want to create it, yeah, go for it.
Well, no. What I was saying is like building on what you were talking about with the meeting hall. Maybe do an
Well,
event associated with it.
I think like the end of the session round is that everyone talks about the kind of thing that you want, and then we go around and we each create a thing, like a neighborhood or a landmark or
Okay. I completely misunderstood then.
I think that a lot of us are kind of converging on this idea of like a town hub or a town center. Like Dana was talking about a kind of residential district. Agatha was talking about like a town hall or like a central square or something, like a place where people actually spend their time as opposed to these like peripheral areas that we have described. Is that
so?
Am I
Maybe
like
the compass.
Am I off base on that?
That
Okay.
sounds cool to me. So maybe it's like a neighborhood called Main Street or something like that.
Yeah. So do we want to go in the same order again? So starting with Ian and then going clockwise?
Yeah, sure. Okay. I haven't gotten to make a neighborhood yet, so that's what I'll do. Let me scroll over to where it says about a neighborhood. Okay. I'm just going to make this right in the middle, since this is supposed to be like a town hall.
Just put it wherever it'll fit. It's fine.
This central thing. And I'm going to say that this is called Old Lachlann. I think the reputation of this is cozy and what's the word that I'm looking for? Cozy, colorful, and crowded. I think that this is like an actual like town here, and I think that there are rows of very narrow kind of like Scandinavian or like Alpine style like narrow houses with like 3 or 4 stories that are built like right next to each other in kind of like townhouse rows. And I think painted in like really bright or almost like pastel colors. I think that I don't know. It's important to me to have like we've got all of these like kind of spooky or grimy or otherwise kind of radiant locations surrounding this town hall, but it's or this sort of town center. But it's important to me to just have like kind of like nice, cozy, rustic hub for it all to sprout out of, if that makes sense. So I think for a true name, this is like let's say warm glances between neighbors.
I love the wholesomeness of this place.
I'm really trying to make this as cute as possible. So
Yeah, I wonder how your vision will be ruined in the minutes or weeks to come.
oh, bring
The,
it, bring it. Should I make an event now, or should I wait until everybody has created?
If
their
you want to
forms?
make an event, this is your opportunity.
Okay, sure. I think that there is like, I think that somewhere in this sort of town center where people gather, or a place of camaraderie. Maybe it's like a park, maybe a public park. I think someone someone blows in with a cold autumn wind, and they have their coat pulled up to their face, but it's not enough to hide that this is someone who left the community many years ago and who has now returned with no advance notice. I think because we are connecting this to another game, I think that it's okay for the players to know that this is somebody who has been involved with the Hand of the Cocoon.
Is it old mate's? Sorry, is it Uncle Doctor's child from last time?
Ariadne. Yeah, sure. Yeah. Yeah, and Uncle Doctor missed it because he was knocked out during a transcendent flood.
Right. Do you think, like, is this an event like we're going to go around and get all the voices of the city, or is this more like a detail that we'll pick up in play next time?
I think for the sake of time, I think I'm happy to just let it be like
Cool.
a detail.
All right, sweet.
So, but I'll write it down.
All right, thank you. So I guess it's my turn next to. Oh shit! I didn't think ahead at all, did I? To create something new. And all right. Well, I'm going to create something that's a landmark connected to Old Lachlann. Which is the bathhouse. Address. The address is like where people go to meet. So I'm imagining that this is like literally a bathhouse. It's warm. It's soapy. You can get a nice clean, but it's also somewhere that people would go to meet. In a business sense or a planning sense, but also as well as socially. And the true name, warm, soapy, and social.
Is this like a hot springs situation?
Oh, I think, yeah, it probably is.
I like that. I want to go to a hot springs.
Dana?
Yeah, I was thinking of creating also a landmark to Old Lachlann, and I was thinking of naming it the Old Market. No, I made us. Oh no, what I'm doing? I don't. Yeah. The Old Market. I think the address is like in between Old Lachlann and the farms. And I think there is like this place where like farmers used to come and like put all these products on display, but like after some time it's like it has become like less useful because Lachlann keep on growing, and like it just became like not reasonable to have all the farmers come to the market. So like they stop doing that, but I think the old market still like has some like historical value or something like that. So I think the true name will be something like um, mm, the setting stone at its dusk.
Cool.
Damn, I want to know what the setting stone is.
And do you want to create an event, or is that your turn?
No, that's my turn.
All right. Pocket, what about you?
All right. I want to create a resident here with the History Grove. And it's the Oracle and the Apprentice. And that's all they're known by. When the Oracle dies and the Apprentice becomes the Oracle, the Apprentice selects a child and passes on the knowledge, trains them to be the next Oracle. And so it goes. And they interpret the History Grove. And let's see, the true name. True sight, forward and back.
Cool. And do you want to create an event, or is that your turn?
I think I'm just going to leave them there for you because they can come warn us about any number of things, but I feel like you'd have fun coming up with what they might warn us about. So that's my turn.
Awesome, thank you. Agatha.
I'm going to create an event for the holographic forest.
Did you want to create a neighborhood or a landmark or a resident, or are you just going to go straight to the event? Because you can do both.
Ooh. Oh, I didn't realize I could do both. Let's see. Okay. There's old Lachlann, the old market, the bathhouse. All right. I'm gonna create a bathhouse. Bathhouse attendant.
Awesome.
Don't know where to put it. I'll put it here. And her name is Rosemary. Rosemary. Her. And let's see. Job. Bathhouse attendant / town. She's like, she runs the her job is the bathhouse attendant, but she basically runs it. And everyone that goes in here, I feel like she just like knows everyone's business. I guess because she's there at the bathhouse where everything happens, and it's kind of like the social hub. And she's very she's very gregarious, but also very warm. So she's the kind of person that will like say things that feel vaguely rude, but is also caring. And because it's Rosemary, you just kind of like go with it. And she's also the kind of person that will definitely know if it seems like you're struggling, and she will like know exactly who to go to get you help. And she will not allow you to refuse help.
So would that make her like the town confidant or something?
She's the bathhouse attendant / town caretaker. She takes care of everyone, whether you want it or not.
Yeah, dude.
And I guess her true name is I love you and don't you forget it.
Aww. Amazing.
Okay, so that's Rosemary. Let's see. And then, right, the event is that I think Blair establishes a tradition of training town guards, or like whoever volunteers to be a town guard, because I don't think that's a job. Blair starts training volunteer town guards by sending them to the holographic forest. It's a new tradition.
So I double checked the rules while other people were having their turns, and it turns out that in this round, the special rule is that only the person who creates the event does a voice of the city. So do you have a voice of the city for Blair creating this new tradition?
I think the opinion is very divided. This is one of the few things in town where it's actually almost like 50-50 split, where half of the town think that this is very dangerous and and unnecessary, because it's like, okay, we're defending the town and you're sending them to this forest that has like what does that have to do with outside attacks? And there's the other half that the holographic forest is very unpredictable and attacks are unpredictable. It's training you in reacting to unpredictable situations. It's perfect. So I think it's very split.
Amazing. So I think that is the end of our game of I'm sorry, did you say Street Magic? Thank you all for playing this. I had a really good time. Let's finish up with a round of stars and wishes. And I guess I'm particularly interested in wishes about how, like, which parts of this you're particularly interested in seeing reincorporated into the songs game, or what's most interesting to you and things like that. So, Dana, I think I started with you at the start of the session, so maybe I'll come back to you now. Do you want to do stars and wishes?
Sure. I really love this game. I think we came up with some really cool stuff. I really love how we keep like the pace going faster and faster. Like we like just like go really really fast with the system, and we created a lot of things, and that was really fun. Particular stars for I love the old Lachlann. I think it's one like amazing, and like it's something that will really like we're really missing, and I really enjoy it. And I love to like that we flesh out things that were already like mentioned, like the megaliths and the terrace farms and the holographic flora. Like we like expanded upon those things, and it was like really cool. For wishes, I'm not sure. I'm really interested in the conductors now. I think the conductors are like a cool thing that I would like to see appear in the game. And I'm like taking a look at everything, so see what it's more decent. The barracks too. I think like we talk a lot about this, the barracks, and I think there will be like an interesting thing to come back and explore in character. I think I think that's it for wishes.
Cool, thank you. Pocket, Stars and Wishes.
Oh, this was a lot of fun. I think stars. I really enjoyed how much thought folks put into stuff. Um, I liked Donna. I liked the way you built out the terrace farms. That was really interesting. Agatha, I really liked the bathhouse attendant. That was a really fantastic detail.
Love her.
Shane, I loved the bathhouse, just like the idea of the bathhouse as a meeting place in general. That was a lot of fun. And then Ian, God, there was something that you added. What was it? I think it was. Did you add something to the distillery? There was something that you. I can't. I'm spacing on it now.
I played the forager in.
That's
in
true,
your
and that was
characterization of
that was
Yuden.
really enjoyable. There was something else that you did, and I'm completely spacing on it right now, so I apologize for that.
Okay.
As far as wishes go, I want to see ominous, like, portents from the Oracle. I want to. Oh, that's right. It was the railways, the aerial tram cars.
The gondola station. Yeah.
Yeah. I want to see more stuff going on with the holographic forest, like weird stuff, like make it bonkers. Because I'm just thinking about Kluge and those holographic vines, and the holographic forest maybe being related to that somehow, and it sounds like a whole lot of fun. So just make it weird. That's
cool. I love that. Agatha?
My star, I think, is similar to what I said. I feel like this session really achieved its purpose of fleshing out Lachlann in a way where it feels like a real place now. Especially that final round where we like, this is, I guess, a star to the mechanics of the game, because like the final round where we all went around and we're like, oh, what do we still think we should have, and then that culminated in in coming up with old Lachlann, and it really gave the heart to Lachlann that I think we were all hoping for. And my other, all of the people that all of the people that we created for this, I think this ties into my wish, which is that I don't really know if that's something that we do want to do, or like Shane, if that is something that you would be down for. But I feel like some of the NPCs in the in the tab, the Seagulls tab, like we have community members there, and I wonder if we can replace some of those people that we haven't really played with the characters that we have created instead. And I feel like if someone were to go up to our crew with any kind of request or problem or whatever, like I'm already very emotionally invested in helping them.
Yeah, I think for sure these definitely are either added or replacing those community members, for sure. Cool. Any other wishes?
Oh, from me?
Yeah.
Oh, I think no, I don't think I have any other wishes. Or the wishes that I had were already touched on by everyone else. So yeah,
Cool.
I'm good.
All right, thank you. Ian, stars and wishes?
Yeah, sure. I think I'd like to give it just a kind of general star to the group. It was so cool to log in partway through the game and already see everything just kind of arrayed out in front of me. Like I love things like this that get my imagination racing. And so when I read just like a couple of sentences about like crystal megaliths and like a transcendent terrace farm like that, I immediately want to know more. I am immediately like drawn in. So thank you for creating such a like a sort of fertile imaginary playground, I guess. And I want to give a specific star to Donna. I thought that the thing about the transcendent flood was really interesting. I am really sort of interested in like placing this town in the world, and so the more things in the world, whether they're like mundane or radiant or transcendent, that the town as a whole can interact with, like the more the town takes shape in my mind. So I really appreciate you introducing something, you know, not natural exactly, but supernatural from outside the town that would affect it. I think that was really cool. As far as wishes go, let me look at the board again. I am really interested in some of the like class elements that we have built into this world. We've got the distillery, which everybody in town thinks of as being like, you know, basically the wrong side of town, and we've got the terrace farms, which it says here described as maybe arrogant. There's a degree of like, and up here there's the event about some residents in Lachlann are vindicated maybe with the farmers being taken down a notch. Like I'm interested in the kind of internal contradictions of this town, and especially when things start to hit the fan in the next like couple of sessions. I'm curious about how like different people in the town will react and what their views will be on things.
Yeah, cool. Thank you. So yeah, for me, stars to everyone. I had a really good time. I just really enjoy the way the system lets us like build off each other's ideas, and I thought that everyone did a really good job. Like, was really into that sort of collaborative spirit that makes things work so well. And yeah, I definitely feel excited to have so much stuff to like dig into as I think about the next few sessions. Agatha, I'm sorry that you won't be with us for the next couple of weeks, but look forward to having Rona back soon. And I will just ask everyone if it's okay if I post the video from today.
Bust away.
Of course.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess that's where we're going to finish up. Thank you very much, everyone. I'll see you next week or when you're back. Bye.
Talk to you later.
Bye.